Welcome to the Nomad Studio live stream. I'll be working on Nightreign. I keep forgetting, I keep mixing it up with Duchess, but yeah, we'll be working on Nightreign Recluse head sculpt from scratch. This was an old placeholder that I did a while back, and I think I can do better this time around. I think. So as get this first. If you're new to my channel, I usually live stream my work in progress, which means that they're not really tutorials or anything, and I will still mess up and make mistakes, but then I hope that I can do a good job with her face, just as I did with the Duchess. I think in the previous which one? In one of the previous live streams, I think there was a request for let me show this. There was a request to show to do a demonstration of how I sculpt a female head from scratch. And because today is a holiday, I thought there's no better time than to do it now. Anyway, why do you keep doing this? Oh my god. I feel like this is really part of the bingo card where like Nomad Studio livestream bingo card where I get annoyed with the UI stuff of the iPad OS. But wait, this is the wrong person. But yeah, I'm kind of like tired because this week. So if you are new to my channel, I've always talked about like how I'm trying to. I was very unfit, physically unfit somewhere here on my finger. I think this one was kind of triggered from like just climbing a lot harder stuff this week, and also from doing like 40 pull-ups yesterday. I mean, like pull-ups are so fun that like, yeah. I kind of thought that maybe like it will kind of warm up and get better, but then today is still a little bit strained. So like sometimes the pain here and like all these pain and stuff, like the strains are very mild. I'm kind of like a big believer in like active recovery and just learning how to be observant with what your body is telling you. So this is like a really, really mild pain that I am being conscious about. But yeah, it's kind of like every time I get a new type of injury, like it kind of makes my mind drift a little bit. So I'll just do my best. And let me see, what am I doing today? His sculpt. So let's hide these things because I don't need this yet. I was supposed to start this live stream earlier, but then I was trying to find, I realized that stop it. I wish there was a way to lock this interface, but it's just like a user error kind of thing where it's my own fault for making the UI. Like I'm being conscious like not to touch the outside, which kind of feels a bit annoying, but maybe it's a user error that the UI is like finicky. But anyway, I realized that I don't have a site. Hello, Rap C Jones. Well, it's great that you can catch the stream. Hope you're doing well. And yeah, I'm glad that I could I could do this stream too. Cause like honestly I'm feeling like trepidations like doing this because like I mentioned before, I haven't really been doing face sculpts on stream because if it's quite scary. But then like I was thinking, like, why am I putting so much pressure on myself? I should just like build up the practice. And like if you notice my very like more earlier works of my 3D renders and paint overs, like you can't see like a face in them because like I wasn't really confident in sculpting faces. Okay, let me hide this. And because today I'm trying to do my best to do like a hit sculpt from scratch, I just want to let anyone tuning into the stream know that a lot of my keys are on my macropad, and I have a video of how I map this one. So I wouldn't really go through this, but this is a key part of my process. Yeah, so I noticed that I don't have a side view. Like the best side view that I have in terms of, yeah, the best angle that I have for the side view is this one. But the good news is that the front view is pretty good. So I don't need this too. Let me just quickly go through what the outline is like, because I haven't touched it for a while. I'll probably just use her old hair, but I will also hide this first. And let me hide these. And this one, not sure, like maybe I'll just use this too. The nice thing is that I got better reference for this, so it'll be easier, a lot easier for me to do this one. And you're curious where I get these references from a YouTube channel called Bonfire VN with no spacing. It's let me just like this, and that channel does these like super close up and like just like bring out the details of each character really well. It's a really cool channel, and I've been using it for almost like a lot of my Dark Souls or Nightreign or Elden Ring references. And yeah, you shouldn't worry. Maybe you can send me some of your sculpts in Halloween. Let me but yeah, I overthink too much. Well, old habits die. It's just like hard to die, so I'm slowly learning how to get over my stupid bad habits. I'm trying to figure out like what to keep here. Maybe I'll just hide everything. And let's just start from scratch. So where is... So we start off with a quartz spear. It's just my habit by this point. And just to clarify, as whenever I'm working, why is my autograph rate? Whenever I'm working with lots of characters or lots of detail, like I just like to do things from the world origin point. You can see before it was at this world origin point. And I guess like all these things I've covered in old tutorial videos. And I don't remember what the size of the head is. I hope the Chikawa is not going to block the way. But yeah. I'm trying to remember too like what my steps are, because I've done them like so infrequently that like it's not, I don't really have like a standard pipeline that I remember to do. But so after I moved the spear to kind of like a certain height, then I'll validate this and I will start sculpting with dynamic topology, which is on my macropad. And then I'll open up this dynamic topology window. I guess as I'm like talking about all this, I can feel the tiredness of the exercise workload from this week. I'm just going to like take it slow and just like chill out and take things slowly, step by step. So normally what I like to do would be to in 3D space every angle matters, but smart hittle, hello, and I'm using this ref. This is the icon. It's bizref. I'm going to just, it's free, I think. It's a little bit, it's like, if you don't know about pure ref, there's on PC or on Mac there's pure ref, and it's quite similar to pure ref, but then the functions on this one is a little bit limited. Something that I learned from this, using it a bit more, and then I found this out by accident, is that you can hold down somewhere and you can hold down and multi-select, and then you can use this to sort the different pictures. I didn't know that for like the first year or so of using this app. It wasted so much time. So normally, let me just go through step by step. So normally I will work on the front and the side view first, something like this. So even if I'm not in front view and side view explicitly, I am consciously doing a lot of work in the front view and the side view. So even if I'm not in like front view like this, just bear in mind that I'm being very mindful that I'm working on front view and side view, at least when things are building up. So I'll just try to make that jawline first and then narrow it down. And obviously, like, not a tutorial or anything, and all of these workflows are subjected for change, so it's just like what I feel comfortable at this moment in time with my current skill sets. So front view and then side view, I try to create this the things that I keep forgetting what this should look like at the side view. Like, I don't remember whether this is supposed to be halfway on the head or what, but what I'm looking out for is to create this. I hope it's visible on the screen. Gee, this is too bright. Let me turn on the lights. So I'm trying to look out for this shape here. It's kind of like what we would draw if we are drawing the base structure of a head on paper. And then for the front view, I'm looking for this. I forgot that. Okay. Wasn't too corner enough. Front view, I'm looking for this. something like that, just as a base. So just very slowly. So even if I use, I'm using the drag tool now, but I think when I first started sculpting, the drag tool was really difficult for me to control, because like the very subtle movements can change it quite drastically. And also with the new pencil, if I rotate, you can see that I can also twist. Why is it so bright? I can also twist. I feel like this is kind of like the problem with like a dark skin character, because maybe I should reduce the white point and go up a little bit. I hope that is fine. Also, it's a bit dark for me, sorry. I guess I just have to make do with this. So drag tool can be really difficult to manipulate if you aren't used to 3D manipulation. So there's another tool called Y drag over move, because I used to use move tool for like just almost all the time, but why did I change it? I guess for one thing is that now I find it a little bit too slow. You see like how slow it is? So it's kind of like when you get more practice with controlling your slight movements of the pen, I find that drag tool is just a lot more faster. Move tool is I find like move tool is good for overall adjustments, or like bigger, softer fall off adjustments like this. But maybe it's just personal preference at this point. Like I can do things. Not sure that can I turn? Not really. Like kind of, I guess. Whereas like now with the drag tool, I can, you see like how fast that is with the same amount of movement. So that's just like my preference now. And also I think this kind of started with when I was still using my very first iPad Pro, which is the 2015 version. That one, because it had like 2 gigs of RAM, it's when I was doing a really complex sculpt, then yeah, I think around that time when I used the move tool with dynamic topology, I'm trying to remember. I think when I used the move tool with dynamic topology, it was super laggy. I didn't know why. And maybe it has improved over time, or like it has been changed. But at that point of time, like I started using maybe it's just like a natural switch to the drag tool. And the fall off is quite different with the drag tool. You can see like I can quickly create this kind of indentation like this, whereas the move tool, I guess it works. Yeah, I don't know. But I'm always a strong believer of just like using whatever you can that makes you do the most work. So whatever you prefer, just use it. Like if the move tool makes you want to sculpt a lot more, then just use the move tool instead of the drag tool. And and another thing is that I have a limited amount of space in my macropad. So over time, I used to have the move tool and the drag tool on my macropad, but then over time I realized that I needed to take one of them out, so I just end up keeping the drag tool. Probably because like the drag tool I feel can do things that the move tool can. If you just move a little bit more precisely. And also the move tool can't do the things that the drag tool can. So I just end up using the drag tool only. So around this time, I'll start thinking about the 3/4 view, like this. So what I'm looking out for. And sometimes it's a little bit difficult to think about things and talk through them, especially when I'm not practiced with it. So I may make mistakes, but I'll try my best. So I try to think about this curve here. Oops, wrong one. Something like this. And start thinking about the eyebrows and the eyes and the nose. But the main thing is that I want this curve at the 3/4 view. So I'll push in. Not sure whether this matte cup. Let me find a matte cup that might. I guess everything is too like formless right now, so maybe this one. So I will just like push in this eye socket thing and then adjust things around slowly like this. And all these steps, like, I don't really do them in a very specific order. It's just whatever that stands out the most to me. And then from just move them down a bit. You're cute, but then you're blocking the way. And then I tried to think about a few landmarks with this, which is there's so many things to think about when it comes to the head. There's the shape here, and there's an indentation here. So I try to get this one first. What else do I get? I tried to think about the position of the eyebrow, which is, I'm not really sure whether I'll explain this right, but there's this plane when you learn how to draw a head, something like this, where there's this eyebrow ridge, which is more prominent with Western features. Wait, is this supposed to connect to the base of this? I don't remember. And then this is where the eyebrow is, and then this is where the cheeks come out, but then I don't remember how it looks like on this side. I just remember this one kind of like halfway through this. So the eyebrow will kind of be at this point here, and then the eye will, I don't know how to draw a 3/4 eye properly. And then so that's this like what is it? Like center point here, and then from the 3/4 view you will be able to see the under eye, like the eye bags, and then you can see the cheek coming out starting from like the center line of the eyeball or something. These are just the way that I think about his sculpts. So eyebrows go in here, and then the cheeks is like this. So it's not like uniform. Like it's not like this, where like this is the halfway mark. The plane transitions at a higher point here for the cheeks, and the area where it protrudes out, like this part, is not below the eyeball. It's somewhere in the middle of the eyeball. I'm just going to keep going. So I think about those things. So you can see like the base of the head is not too bad. It might look scary later on. I'm not going to promise anything. I think it might look a bit scary later on because like I'm gonna make quite a lot of mistakes maybe. So this shape, the indentation here, which is, you can go to the back view and just like squeeze this a little bit like this. So you can see there's this recessed area like this. And now we can start thinking about the top view. Which usually when it comes to sculpting 3D objects that is supposed to be, that's like quite complex, it's very easy to get sucked into like, oh, I'm just going to do this and do this and then maybe do this. But then when you look at the different angles, you realize that because I've been kind of like working on like this plane and this plane and maybe sometimes this plane, that you can see like it starts becoming a rectangle. You can see like there's this cuboidal shape going on here. So this is something that I will immediately try to fix up a bit. Try to make it a little bit more like oval, more organic and natural. The bottom too, I don't remember. I forgot I got this there. Okay, let me hide this. Wait, let me set my music. And like, this is so important. Listen to music that you like, or I guess podcasts that you like when you're doing your work, because it really gives you that extra boost of motivation to keep going. So this is the different angles that I end up with. This is the front view, the 3/4 view, and the side view. And just to just to show you, I'm just working with the default FOV. I guess FOVs to me doesn't really, I don't really care about it as much as I feel like other people do, until I start rendering maybe. And then, or maybe when I start like doing screenshots of my Nomad Sculpt file, then around this time I will start putting in an eyeball. So I'll go to the gizmo tool mode and add this. This is also in my tutorial. It's just use the on gizmo and then create a spear, and then I can adjust this down and move it here. And the same thing, I'll add a mirror repeater here and make sure that I'm not the, what's that? Gee, maybe I can move this at the top. Make sure that I'm not the mirror repeater is not mirroring the head sculpt. I want it underneath. Wait, no, I guess I'll just keep it separate for now. I'll move it forward a little bit because this is for the eyeball, and then I'll put the quad spear there. So this is my eyeball, and I always don't know what size the eyeball should be. I'm just going to, I guess I always like think about imagining if I hold an eyeball what the size would be, and maybe it's like a ping pong ball size or something. And then I'll just move it somewhere because everything is still so just so like blocked out right now. Then let me see, what should I do now? I guess I'll try to block in the nose now. And like this is something that I noticed from sculpting a few more hits, is that I always find myself, I always find myself like correcting the facial features quite a lot through like I guess like when I keep working on it, I'll keep like correcting the facial features, and then for some reason like they keep shrinking and I always end up shrinking the head down again and again. So that's something that I feel like I shouldn't be doing, but then like I keep doing that. I'm not really sure how to fix that yet. But that's why I'm trying to be very conscious about placing my facial features more correctly, I guess. And then around this time, let me find that picture. Maybe the problem is that I always put the eyeballs too low or something. I will give a neck to the skull. And normally, there are a few ways to go about giving a neck, which is to, you can use a mask. Like this, and then you can invert this and drag this out, something like that. Or you can create a cylinder. This is I guess a common way to, where is the, I just use the gizmo. This is quite a common way to do this. Use a cylinder, rotate it a little bit slightly for the natural curve of the spine, like this. This is like a nice way to do it too, because for one thing you can keep things separate for a while, and the other thing is that you'll know for sure that the neck is perfectly spherical from the cross section. So you can do this, and then you can voxel merge it. Where is it? And you can voxel merge it later on. But I guess like sometimes I like to just, I'm just showing you different ways of how you can create a neck. But sometimes I just like to use the drag tool. And like I say, the drag tool is really good for like super what's this called? Like you can see how you can drag things out really well like that. And I'll just like, this is possible to just manually create that cylinder shape like this. And of course I already have a neck for her, so I'm going to undo this later. But I guess usually I tend to do things like this. I don't know why. And with this, it's just like yeah, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, because it's kind of like an added step of you need to create that cylinder shape yourself. And then I'll use the crease tool to mark this up and just make sure that it's not too cuboid at the cross section like this. And that is another way to form the neck. Although this is like a little bit of a more tedious way. I guess doing this, I'm like, I'm not going to recommend you doing this. Don't recommend. But it's fun. Maybe that's why I do this sometimes, because I just find it really fun to create something from scratch. I guess I just like the challenge of turning things into a nice shape. But I don't recommend. And yeah, and because like you kind of need to correct the shape of this without affecting the head too much. So you just be careful of this. I may just keep this here, and then maybe I'll just like trim it off later on. So I like to use this crease tool to just carve out the jaw a little bit. And I think at this point, her ears are not visible, which I guess is a good thing. But sometimes it's helpful to have a placeholder. So I'll just clone the quartz sphere here, and then I'll move it back for her ears. Because sometimes I find that it's easier for me to find my bearings this way. Because the ear is quite an important landmark in the head. So normally ears would be, depending on your character, the ears can be like quite outward, like this, or if it's an elf, then like that. But for the average one, it will be just slightly visible like this. I'm just like eyeballing the shape of the ear. Somewhere like this. I feel like probably ears. Like this. And I think it's at the base of the nose. Something like that. So halfway at the eye, base of the nose. This is where I normally place my ears. So I'll validate this, and I'll use symmetry on, let me see, should I use symmetry? I guess I don't. I'll create this kind of like ear shape, and then I'll kind of like give an indentation of it. Maybe I can use the brush tool to shape out this thing, and it's just a lot easier to do this with a reference, like use a mirror and look at your own ears or something. I can't be bothered right now because I'm using headphones. But it's just a placeholder like this, something like that. I guess that's this like thing, something like that. You know what, it's pretty decent. I guess my practice have paid off. Maybe something like this. And the position is also subject for change as the sculpt evolves. And then now I try to put in a nose the best I can. Let me see. I guess the nose is kind of halfway between the chin and the eye, so let me just try to stick it out. And with when sculpting with sculpting very small detailed features, it's very easy to get kind of like out of control and get like huge features like this. Like these are a lot easier to sculpt. Like it's a lot easier to sculpt like big features. I kind of feel like it's also why a lot of people like to do like goblins or sculpts and stuff. I don't really like them. But yeah, doing small delicate features are a lot harder than I thought, I guess. So normally with do you ever add primitives or features? I don't add primitives, but just like the oh my god, stop. I better want to stop it. Let me find. But you can very easily do this. You can very easily do this. And the good thing about doing something like this is that you can keep things very separate. Because when I mentioned about what I find difficult on the head sculpt is usually this section here. This one. And that's because when I sculpt the nose or like these like prominent features in the same object mesh, if I sculpt like these things and I start going into detail with them, it usually affects this. Like I try to use a smaller brush size, but then it's kind of like I just can't help it. Like maybe because I'm not precise enough or practiced enough. So you can kind of do this. And I was thinking like in the stream, I just want to show like different ways since I used to be like a lurker of like tutorials and stuff, so I know all these things. But yeah, I don't know why I know all these things. I guess it's good that I can make it useful here, I guess. So you can do something like this, and it's a lot easier to control it because I can like do all these kind of things. Let me see what the nose is like. There's a thing here, and there's like there's a bump, and then this one is quite distinct, the bridge, something like that. And I need to correct it. And you can see that when I'm working on this nose, I'm not affecting these areas unless if I really. Oh, and also when I find it very difficult to, when I find like there's too many polyfaces, I'll just reduce this as always and just work with less resolution. So I can keep this relatively flat. I can keep the crease here quite sharp. I can later on voxel merge this. I don't think I need this high. Something like this, and then I can do this to merge them together. Something like this. But I think for this kind of stuff, it's like again personal preference. and also what you're used to doing. I would think that let's say if you do need to be more systematic in what you do, that all these things make sense, like putting the cylinder for the neck, things like that. But I guess like something that I do think about that quite often, and something that I personally feel that kind of like makes me have the tendency to lean towards doing a sculpt like this, especially since a lot of these things are like my own personal projects. That wait, what's that? Is that I feel like I learn a lot with I get a lot of practice in refining my stylus controlling. I get a lot of practice with like the finer controls because I have to force myself to learn how to like manipulate some stuff without without making the other areas to without destroying the features on the other areas. So I feel like I couldn't really like connect the dots at that time. But after doing things a few more times, then I was like, oh, like I've gotten a lot better with sculpting just from making things harder for myself. But yeah, and yeah, that's the place I have the most problem with. The planes are not very good. Yeah, but I guess I'll like through this live stream, I hope that I can show you that you can like fix the things step by step, hopefully. I'm not sure. And of course, I feel like this is the harder way to do things, I think. So yeah, just hopefully it'll give you an idea of like how to do things the hard way. So I like to use smaller brush size when I'm working with things like this, because it's kind of like impossible to like, let's say if I use the brush tool, if it's so huge like this, then I'm just going to very quickly create like too much effect, like too much, something like that. You see, it's very easy to do that. But then it's also a fine balance between like you don't want it to be too small that everything becomes very difficult to control in some sense. And this is also something that I got really conscious about when I was practicing 2D paintings with on like 2D paintings on portrait studies. But like I realized that this was something that I wasn't very conscious of, that I should be maybe like this one. Like this area here is really blank. It's very flat and almost featureless. But in the past, I used to spend the same amount of time. Like maybe I just going to put like 1 hour. I'll put like the same amount of time doing this and doing this. And you can kind of see like what is kind of like the problem here, where I put like a disproportionate amount of time on all these features which are supposed to be like a lot more complex. Like there's eyelash going on, there's the double eyelid, there's the crease. So I used to spend like the same amount of time on these really complex features, like with these things. So I don't know why it took me like 2D painting portrait study to like finally figure this shit out. Like sometimes I feel really, sometimes I just feel like so slow that I figure all these things out like only like many years later of doing art. But And the other thing that I noticed is that it's not just about the time, but I try to, hello Rob 3D Design, nice that you can catch this stream too. Miss, I also have a holiday today. Oh, that's cool. Well, great. You know what, like I like going grocery shopping on a holiday and just like buying up all the, I guess like spending more time grocery shopping, and then I can think about all the snacks I can buy. Maybe that's not a good thing. Yeah, so one thing is that I try to, and the thing is that I always feel like, oh man, I'm struggling so much with the face. And then I realized that it's because, for one thing, I give like a weird amount of time for the very detailed stuff. Like I should be spending a lot more time on this compared to something like this or even the jawline. And then the other thing is that I am not really conscious of making my brush size a little bit smaller when working on these delicate features, because when you think about it, this is the size of the head, but then do you see the size of the nostrils and the lips and the eyes? They are a lot smaller than, wow, everyone's holiday today. Yay. I hope that you guys are having a good time. But yeah, so let me turn on the aircon. So yeah, the reason why I am pointing these things out is because I struggled with these mistakes and these problems in the past. So I'm not really sure whether or not they're like not really good points to point out. Maybe it's really obvious, but then to me it wasn't for some reason. So you can see like the nostrils or like the eyelid, even the eyelashes or like the inner corner of the eye. They're so tiny compared to the size of the head. Hello, I'm nothingness. I feel like that like this whole week. And thanks for tuning in. And yeah, just like look at the size comparison of like all these details. And why is my stomach so I'm so sorry. So this thing, once I got conscious of this, then I realized when I'm working on all these things, I can scale my brushes down a lot more and just overall be more careful and be more mindful of what I'm doing with them. So that was a long explanation of like what I do with this, but hopefully it makes sense. So I like to use maybe like the crease tool to kind of like shape this thing out. Why? Oh, and like just be mindful of this, like activating this with the move tool or the drag tool, because it will act, you can only pull from the normals, and I'm going to explain that. So I'm just shaping it like this. And then smoothing things out. I'm still working with a low resolution at this point. Something like this. And then I'll kind of like push in this part. And another thing to take note is that when I'm sculpting, you can see that I'm going to show you the difference between moving, pressing my drag tool on this point here versus somewhere here. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to drag tool here, compared to if I drag tool here. So it really matters like where you place the brush before you use the tool. So I'm being conscious of like putting it like maybe at this point and then moving it in like that. So that's another thing to be like more mindful of. This is already kind of like the switching is so annoying. I'm not really sure what switching. You mean switching between two things? There's a way to by the way, there's a way to like stop this switch, which is there is a lock. Where's the lock? Is there not a lock? Where is it? But there's a lock somewhere. But I don't use it because I found it more annoying than useful. Okay, let me and I'm also conscious of, because like I said, if you twist your pencil like this, if you have the Apple Pencil Pro, it rotates the whole thing. So I'm kind of conscious of not rotating my pen. But you can see like if I just rotate it slightly, you can see how much it moves already. The original was like this. You can see like just a little bit of turning moves this like this much already, this volume. So like this kind of the things where I feel like a lot of practice really went a long way for me. That yeah, I used to be like less practice with controlling the pen, but you also don't really want to like grip it really hard too. So it's just like learning how to like maybe like in some sense to be able to hold the pen lightly while having control is like a strength. I'm not really sure how to explain. Then somewhere around here, I'll try to make the nose a little bit more narrow like this. And as I'm doing this, I'm being very mindful of this plane. I'm trying not to move it too much, which is I'm trying not to do like all these kind of stuff, which I need to. Yeah, just try not to do that. Although it is possible to fix it. It's just like over time, as I get more and more practice, I just try not to move them as much. And then the side view, I guess I'll just do it like this for now. Something like this. So with the position of the nose bridge, normally I position it like I think about this shape and this shape. I don't know anything about face anatomy, so like don't expect me to say any anatomy names. And then the eye is kind of like jutting out here. You can see the eye bags here and the cheeks and this plane, and the eyebrows are here. So I tend to position this area here around like the halfway mark of the eyeball. And I guess around this time, So you're kind of starting to make the mistake of like the head being too high up. I'm just going to squish it down a bit. And then make sure that I'm not too something like this. Make sure that at different angles it's not doing like a weird shape like this. Always be mindful of the nice curves going on at any angle. Oh yeah, the Asaro hit. I'm not really sure which one it is, but yeah, everyone looks like an old man. Yep. I mean, I can't guarantee that this sculpt will not look like an old man at the end of this stream. Because I realized that when it comes to the head, like I do think about a lot of things, and it does progress a lot slower than I thought, because I have to explain like the different points, which I feel like everything is important to me. So I like to use the crease tool, the brush tool, and the drag tool, the smooth tool. So I just use the crease tool to like exaggerate this thing, because she has westernized feature. You can see like the shadows here are quite deep, prominent. And I'll do something like this. And every step of the way, always make sure that like everything can be adjusted and will be subjected to change, but then try to keep things as like humanoid as possible at different angles whenever you are making all these changes. So I'm just going to make the kind of like the eyebrow ridge, something like this. Oh my god. Yeah, so something like this, and then because I'm working with such a small detail percentage, then when I smooth these things out, you can see that if I go really high resolution at the beginning, like this is like a recipe for disaster, and then I start like going like this, then you can see like I'm retaining all these unevenness in the sculpt, like even like this. You can see like how uneven the face is, and there's like just so many things to deal with. So always work with like as low as resolution as you can, and then yeah, as the sculpt progresses, then you start bumping up the resolution. So you can see like the nice thing about, I'm gonna fix this again. See, like it's not too hard to fix all these things when you start getting used to it. Something like this. And then the smoothing at low resolution really helps to just like average everything out. Something like this. Then I'm going to look from the top view and start making like a nice shape to this, and also make this nose a little bit more like this instead of like this. I guess I always think about, for the eyeballs, I always think about creating like a one eyeball space between each eyeball, and I still don't know where to put it yet. But let's work on the this part. So using the brush tool, I'm just going to sculpt out like the upper eyelid and lower eyelid. Doesn't really matter like how messed up they look yet. And then when I get these features, and also like all these things are just based on my like all these are just my personal workflow and how I'm used to doing it. There's so many ways to do like a head sculpt. So around this time, with the upper and lower eyelids features more visible, then I can start shaping the these shapes. So what I'm looking for is this one, where it goes. I'm not sure what color is good. This curve over here that curves around the eyeball. Also make sure that the lower lid is following the curve of the eyeball. Something like that. And when it comes to the front view, I'm going to try and convert this into this shape. This shape with this double eyelid laid on. I think this ridge is not too bad right now, the placement. And also make the under eye bag a lot smaller. So with this, I find like it's a lot easier to go back and forth, like the like top and front view. The side view, not really yet. I'm just going to fix this. Looks like shit. It's going to look a lot better soon. I like to also hide the eyeball a bit, so I'll isolate this head sculpt. And then I will just like carve in with the brush this cavity here. Something like that. So you can see like with a big brush, I'm starting to affect this ridge here. So I will undo that and go with a smaller brush and start adjusting. And you can see like because the brush is a lot smaller, I'm not adjusting this one. And it's always a fine balance of, I don't want it too small that I'm like doing things step by step like this. I want it to be like small enough that it doesn't affect the areas that I don't want it to touch, and also big enough that I don't need to like, that I'm not going to create like all these weird shapes like that. So like for the cheeks, I'll try to go a little bit larger so that I can make gradual large adjustments like that. And for the eyelids, just go a little bit smaller. Can use the brush tool to like carve this area out a little bit more. And because I'm working with dynamic topology, my initial mesh doesn't, the wireframe doesn't matter because it's going to keep changing. But I know that there's some people who does like subdivision modeling for the head. And if you're doing that, then you have to be more mindful of like I guess like making this more correct from the get-go. So I'm going to use the crease tool to create this sharp point here. So you can see like the cavity is really good for just let me just demonstrate this on a spear. And this will be very useful for later on when I'm going to do her mouth. So imagine there's one side. Imagine this one side like this, and one side that's like a little bit flatter. And then when I add some details here and smooth this out, you can see like it averages out a lot more fast. Like it kind of like removes a lot of the details really quickly because it's just averaging between like this one and this one. Whereas if I do this and then I smooth this out, then it retains a lot more of this initial shape that I'm going for. Even this. Imagine if I create, maybe this is like the upper eyelid, and then I smooth this out. Versus like if I do it here, and then I smooth this out. You can see the difference between this like just very minor change of adding this cavity inside the sculpt. So let me delete this one. Let me find. I think 46 is a little bit too low for this. So normally when I'm working with the eyelids, I tend to kind of like unknowingly create this shape at different angles. So I always try to go like correct this at every step of the way to make it more curved like this to follow the shape of the eyeball. So it's really just like at least for me, it's really like a like a lot of back and forth. And also just being mindful of like not doing this where you see I'm going to move this in, and then when I rotate around or even up, there's like because I adjusted too much at one small area, you can see that this area here is like such a sharp change of angle like this. So I try to be more gradual with my angle changes. If I want to push this in, I'm using a bigger brush to push it in like that, instead of like using a small brush and like creating this very cuboidal shape on the eyelid, which I need to correct later on. And this is so cute. And then I don't really know how the eyebrow should be like. I think in terms of the eyeball, something that I like to do is to go to the symmetry mode, activate symmetry, and let's validate this. Set it to local symmetry, and then where is it? Set the X and the Y symmetry axis. and then I will create like this. I'll create the iris. Is this iris? Yeah, the iris. Like that. Or maybe I can use the brush tool to like push it out a little bit. I don't really need to use dynamic topology for this. I don't really know what size it's supposed to be either. So I tried to make it like something like this, where it kind of juts out a little bit at where the iris is, just personal preference. And then I can use this. I can also color it a bit, although it might look a little bit scary at this moment. Something like this. And the good thing about coloring is like now you can see how to position the eyeball a bit, which I will rotate it outwards slightly so that it doesn't look so demented, and then start positioning the eye correctly. This is where the side view would be really helpful, but then I can't find the side view. So maybe somewhere here, maybe? And also if you're new to 3D modeling, it's just a lot easier to go like to the front view and the side view. And then when you get more used to doing this, then I'm just going to roughly estimate like where the front view is and where the side view is. So something like this, if I'm not careful, you can see like why is it that when I'm here, I'm adjusting the back eyelid instead of the front? And that's because when I isolate this, if I place my cursor here, you can see that I'm affecting this vertex and not this vertex. So when it comes to like smaller and smaller details, or like as the details get more and more extreme, it becomes a lot more important to make sure that I'm hitting the correct vertex to move things around. I feel like being mindful of these things are like the things that really helped me a lot with just I think like just sculpting in general. Because all like these kind of skill sets, like they apply. You can see like I just callously like move this inside, and I'm like, why is it not moving anything? And then when I isolate this, it's moving the inside of the eye. So just, you see, like you have to be more like mindful of where you're clicking. So lower eyelid, I like to push this point in. You see this part here. So there's like this area here that the older the character is, the more this prominent this will be, this indentation, and this area too. I try to push this area and this area backwards. But I'm also not using like such a small brush that like I'm just like moving. You see like how weird this looks like now? But also not using like a super big brush to like move everything back if I don't want to, because at this point it will start affecting the nose. And then now I've also flattened out this area here. This area is like too flat now. So small enough, but also not too big. I'm just going to move this in like this, while being mindful of this curve on the upper and the lower lid, something like this. And then I can zoom in a little bit more. I try not to zoom in too much because then it's difficult to see like what proportions I'm adjusting, but also like not too far out because it would just be very difficult to move things around, especially when I'm using dynamic topology with the detail based on the screen distance to the sculpt. So I'm just like far enough to be able to see. And the other thing is that at this point I'll try to be mindful of what the hidden areas are like. I make sure that they also feel coherent, because like imagine if the inside is like, I'm trying to mess it up, but then it's, imagine like the inside is like messy like that. Like it's not wrong, I guess, but it's just a lot neater to have like a coherent base at the hidden areas. So you can also hide the eyeball to start looking at different angles like this, just to make the eyelids look better, I think. Of course, side views, it's just a lot easier. I don't have the side view, I think. Do I not have side view? Yep, I don't have the side view. And she has a bit of a downward curve to the eyes. So this is specific for her eye shape. So I'll try to respect that. Just make sure that the distance between the eyes are not too bad. Maybe you should, yeah, I don't really know. Maybe you should go in a bit more. Actually, at this point, like, this sculpt is a lot better than a lot of sculpts that I start out with, actually. I've made progress, yes. I am better at sculpting hits now. And also, like, I try to rotate a little bit like this to see what I need to correct at the corners. So something like this. It's too like that. So I want it to be like, it's very subtle, but this one is too straight on like that. So I'll try to pull it out a little bit more. And it's totally fine to just like slowly go incrementally, just like adjust the angles a little bit like this, and then adjust it along the way. This is like one of the ways where I learned how to get a good sense of my 3D sculpts too. Like just doing things very slowly like that. So the eyes are kind of getting somewhere. I can also look at the opposite side and push this in a little bit more. Make sure that this one, because this is about creating a sharper crease, I'm not going to move it in. I'm just going to use the crease tool to shape this out. And something else I like to do is to, let's see, is to use like crease tool to, like, either with the crease tool or the brush tool. I can you, why no, use the crease tool to exaggerate the features like this. Sometimes doing something like this will make it easier for you to spot the different landmarks of the face. And once I'm done using this as a reference, as a guideline, then I will just smooth it out, and it's like almost like it's not there. Something like this. This part is still pretty messy, but I think I'll just slowly, just very slowly, like get it done. I can do the double eyelid now with a small brush. Just like a guideline to check that I'm not messing up something. Because I'm still working with like a high percentage detail, low percentage detail. So I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do this that much. I just want to see like how the proportions of the face is matching up to the reference. So let me bring. No, it's fine. And because of this new feature, I realized that it's too high up. Something like this. I'm not sure whether it's too big. And then like, let me see. This part might be a little bit too how to say, not smooth enough. So just use the brush tool and just smooth this out. Then now for the eyes. Wait. Let me just fix this up a bit. So that it doesn't look so sad. Now for the nose, this one also. Let me just fix this up a bit. Wait, before the nose, let's fix up the lower eyelid. So I like to use the crease tool again. And just go in and do this. So with this this area here, I need to start being mindful of this whole section. It's very close to this section here. So around this time, I'm starting to be conscious of like whether the brushes that, like imagine if I do this. If I do this, you can see like it starts affecting this area here. So I'm being very careful with this section. Just like doing very small adjustments. And something else that I like to do is like, let's say, I'm just gonna mess this up a little bit more. Just to show you like how easy it is to fix this area. So you can see how lumpy this is. So I just try to go in and smooth it out as much as I can. So this kind of like my workflow in fixing this area after lots of practice, because I always mess this area up. And I'll go down to like a lower resolution detail and just be careful of this area here. I'm just going to smooth this section up. And now this section is very smooth. It's smooth again. And then I'm just going to puff it up a little bit more. and maybe just add a little bit more resolution here. Something like this. I think the eyelid shape is off, but then I'll work on the nose first. And also make sure that every angle, like you can see this shape here. It's really like a straight line and then a curve like that. It should just be like this. So I'm going to fix this. Can I? Okay. I'm not sure what happened to my macropad. So I'm just going to fix this a little bit. And I'm always mindful that whenever I'm making adjustments on one section, that is going to, if I adjust too drastically, it's going to affect the different angles. So something else that I always keep in mind. Then now it's time for the nose. The same thing with the nose, where from the front view it kind of looks very unsuspecting. But I'm also being mindful that when I'm adjusting an area, I'm being mindful of where I am pressing. Like, am I pressing on the tip of the nose, or the middle portion, or this end part here? So even if I'm looking at the front view and it looks really like, it looks like there's nothing over here, I'm just being more mindful that right now I'm adjusting the middle part of the nose and also the end part of the nose here and the front part of the nose here. Using the crease tool, I'm going to adjust the front part of the nose like this, not here. So you can see, like, if I draw here, then I'm adjusting this part and not this one. And of course, if you're not used to the 3D viewport, then like just rotate around, and when the area is a lot bigger, it's a lot easier to get a good sense of control with it. But I'm pretty used to it, so I'm just going to do it on this section here. I'm gonna go lower a bit because it's a little bit too high resolution for me right now. So I'm also looking at from a distance to make sure that I'm not messing up overall proportions. I feel like I don't really know how to do this kind of sunken eyes, hooded eyes kind of thing. But I'll think about it later. For now, I'll just work on this nose. So I like to use a crease brush to just like carve out. I feel like there's like too much of a bump here, so I'm just going to like cut it in a little bit and then smooth it out. And now this area is like a lot flatter. I'm not really sure whether you understand what I was doing. I was kind of like just pushing things in, and because I know that I'm using a low resolution detail, when I smooth it out, it's going to be pretty flat, and now the area is quite recessed. Now when it comes to the nostrils, I like to just go in a little bit. You can use the mask tool like this and then use it to, you can do that. I'm just gonna do that. or you can use a brush tool and draw out the recess. And for this one, let me see what her nose is like. I'm not sure whether my nose is a little bit too small or not compared to the whole face. So around this point, when I want to start doing overall shape changes to the sculpt, I'm going to use the drag tool to move things around from a distance. But then when I do this, you can see like the resolution that I've added previously, like they are all kind of destroyed. So around this time, I will start like deactivating the dynamic topology just for the drag tool alone, which is also why like I don't really use this one. You see that's this checkbox for the global on and off. I don't really use it because as different stages of my sculpt, I like to start like deactivating or activating it for different tools. So I'm going to start shaping this a little bit better. Something like this. Maybe maybe I'm just making the same mistakes of like making the facial features a bit too small, and then now I need to scale everything down again. And then the ears, I don't really know where the ears is supposed to be. But this is where the having like a head reference would be good, but then I just can't be bothered with it. Okay. So knowing that the ears are what's that called? Slanted at this angle. Sometimes I like to reset the gizmo position like this, and then now it's easy for me to move this ear back and forth if I want to. Something like that. And then let's create this. Let's connect this a little bit better. Yeah, I keep making the mistake of like maybe making my facial features a bit too small, and then I need to like shrink the head a lot more afterwards. Something like this. And then there's like a recess somewhere here. At this point, like I'm not really sure what it should be. So maybe I'll move this a bit more here. And just like adjusting everything. And also as where I'm making adjustments, I'm kind of mindful that I'm not rotating this too much. Rotating as in like rotating like this. You can see like it's very easy to start rotating the whole sculpt as you're working on it. So I'm mindful of that too. Well, it's looking not too bad. I think it really helps to just be like slow and mindful about where you're placing your stuff. And then this one, I will smooth this out. So at this point, I've already created the nostrils, and then I like to kind of like shape this part a little bit better now, which is at the side view. I will straighten this out a little bit. So the way that I approach the nose usually is like I'm trying to create this shape, and then the mouth is going to be like this later. So this one is quite important in the side view. You can see like when before this, when I just carved it in, you can see the shape of this is, I guess like this is not correct anatomy wise, and then I tried to straighten that out a little bit more, and then carve out with the crease tool the edge of the nose. I'm just going to do this, narrow the nose a little bit, maybe bring out the middle section a little bit more, so that does this narrow area here, but then this area here, it's kind of coming out a little bit like that. So I need to fix this, straighten this out first and create this shape. So create this shape. Oh, this color's not good. Create this shape and make this more prominent and create something like this. So let's go ahead and do that. So I use the crease tool to shape out this like I guess this is like the bone of the, is this a bone or the cartilage? Something like this. And I want to make sure that this area here is nice and rounded, which I can also use the I can use the inflate tool to like add volume to areas like this, like the eyelids, or even like the edges of the nose like this, or even like to remove the volume of the nostrils, and then going to the Sorry, is getting in the way. Going to the different angles, making this more prominent. It's really just like back and forth, where like I'm adjusting a little bit, smoothing it out to I guess to average everything out because it's so bumpy and messy. And then going back to the different angles to adjust this better. Sometimes the bottom view can be a good guide to see like what's going wrong with the nose sculpt, because you want to smooth all these things out and you want this part. This is just based on my lack of my not so good nose understanding. I'm just looking for, what am I looking for? Wait, let me bring out the other one. Let me bring out the Duchess. Because I don't have the side view for her, so I'm just going to, I don't remember what I did for her because okay, I'm going to use this as a reference for the side view of the nose. because I could find a really good side view for her. So I'm looking out for this shape at the side, and then from the bottom I'm looking for this I guess it's kind of like almost a wait, let me look at the mirror. I guess depending on your nose, it might be more like this, I guess. I'm not sure what, because like when I look at my own nose, it's like such an Asian nose. I'm not really sure like what the shape at the bottom would be. But I guess this one's a little bit too pointed. Then I can kind of like push this a little bit more to create that round shape. And then let's look at the 3/4 view, which looks quite bad. Then I will try to, in the 3/4 view, what I'm looking for would be the volume of this back nostril and making sure that this part also curves nicely. So this is what I look out for in the 3/4 view, and also that the shape of this is not too bad, like this. Like there's a nice curve to this bottom edge of the nose. So I'm going to, can see like in the 3/4 view the nostril at the back is like non-existent, so I need to bring it out. And then probably smooth this out a little bit more. I'm not sure whether her nose shape will be different from hers, but because I don't have a good reference, then I'm just going to make it a little bit more like hers first. So it's really about like being subtle with this. Like you're not going for like some crazy like hook nose or something, or like some like crazy shape of the nose. Like be really like mindful of. Like there are some plane changes going on, but then all these changes shouldn't be too extreme. So I think something like this. One of the difficult parts that I find is this section here. This one. This section over here, because it's at the area where the front of the face starts intersecting with the nose, this part. So the way that I like to think about this now is to like make sure that I'm not having like some, you can see like right now I have this, it's very subtle, but I have this this plane change going on here. It's very subtle. So I have this one that shouldn't exist, like this portion here, where it goes inward, and then there's like 1, 2, oh wait, no, 1, 2, 3, and then it meets the nose, whereas it should just be like a nice curve before it meets the crease of the nose. So I just tried to smooth it out a little bit, and like the crease of the nose is going to disappear, but it's fine because I can just reintroduce it at a good spot, like that. Kind of like fixing my previous mistake in some sense, something like that. So now this area here is a little bit, this section here is just like a little bit flatter than before. It also brings the point that like when putting the crease of the nose, that like I'm being mindful that I'm not putting it here or putting it here. I'm putting it at the place where the plane changes between the cheek of the face to the edge of the nose crease. So I'm placing the crease right in the middle of the two plane changes, because like let's say if I put it here, then I'm going to start introducing 1, 2, and then 3. So this is kind of the way that I've been approaching this section, so that I'm not it's just like a lot easier for me to handle now, this area here. And like just like a little bit of like bumpiness is fine, because we're still at the block-in phase of this. So the front view is really good. I want to make sure that I'm matching up the front view properly. Let's see. Just like really subtle movements. I think this is going to be, I mean, I feel like I'm starting to lose touch of like what is difficult and what is not. And that's kind of like normal with as you get better and better, you start forgetting like where your starting point is. But I would think that doing this area would be one of the most difficult parts of sculpting a face, and it's just really about making sure that you're moving it incrementally like this and smoothing out as much as you can. So that is the nose. I guess this has to be a bit lower maybe. So looking at the different angles, it will be really helpful if there's a side view for the Recluse. Something like this. I'm just looking around, making sure that there's like no like weird I'll say like any weird features would like kind of very easily push a feminine nose towards a masculine nose. So just being very mindful that every angle is a very nice curve, and that will keep the nose quite feminine looking. Something like this. And making sure that one of the hardest part I would think when I started out sculpting noses is this this edge right here. So again, like just push things a little bit, go to a different angle and adjust it like this. So that is the nose blocked in done. This part's a little bit, should be a little bit more like this. It can also be helpful to put the image reference as like a plane at the back, something like this. Like kind of like putting something like this and then overlay it on top. And then you like shift things around based on that. You can do that too. I just find like over time, as I get more and more practice, that doing like this is really good practice for me to, yeah, just like to get good. I don't know how else to explain it. So let me hide her a little bit because she's messing up my let me see. So again, at this stage, look at the overall shape of she has a narrow jaw, I think. So around this point, I will start thinking about the cheeks, which is this. And I always like, I feel like I like this area here, thanks to watching like all the makeup tutorials, because it's such a cool area to play with contouring. It really changes the way that your face looks when you, depending on like where, if you put your blush here or your blush over here or here or here or here, or like even there are some tips that like you want to put some blush over here so that it creates a more cohesive makeup look on the whole face, things like that. So for this one, I like to think about the jawline. Her jaw is quite narrow, so something like this. And then somewhere around here, this is where the indentation is. This is the curve of the cheek, the volume. Depending on the character, this can be like really voluminous, or like this can also be like super sunken in. Especially with like older characters, this can get really depressed in. And the way that I like think about where this is, because like I have a really tight jaw muscle and every time my dentist is like, oh my god, like your jaw muscle is like so tight, then she wants me to massage it, my physio also. And you can kind of like put your knuckles like this one along this, and then my physio told me to massage it along the smile line. So like this is the mouth. So this part is kind of like the part where it should like go inwards. So go inwards, and then this part kind of adjusts out a little bit more, and then this part is the volume of the cheeks. So you can see like right now it's really subtle, but then I have a lot of things going on here, which is not good. For one thing, like the jawline, the cheekbone is really low over here. I think hers is higher up. So you can see like the shadow is over here, and then I have this one, which is kind of like fighting against this one, and I probably just want it to be more like this instead of it having like two different planes. So I'm going to correct this a little bit more. From the bottom view, you can also keep in mind that the jaw is going to be like this. Not like this. Unless that's the character you're going for, I guess. So normally that's this this triangular shape going on from the bottom view. It's a little bit difficult to see, so I'm just going to use the crease brush to like shape this a bit so that I can show you the triangle portion here. And I'm going to adjust this as I keep going with the mouth. But over here, you can see that this part is what I'm talking about, where it will go inwards, and then I'll smooth this out so that it's gradual. And then this is where the cheekbones are. Sometimes people have like big puffy cheeks, and in general, like the more you do this, and see, the older someone's gonna look. And also like when, as everyone, this is like just how the body evolves. Let me fix this up a bit. Oh, it's like it will keep disappearing. As like the body ages, all the fat pads over here, or like the collagen and stuff, will start breaking up into different islands, and that's when you start seeing like prominent cheekbones and jawlines like that. Or like, I feel like, or maybe like in my case, I feel like when I started becoming really regular in exercising, and I got, like, even though I'm at the same weight, I have more muscle mass now. So I feel like these areas, I started losing fat at these areas, and then now now this cheekbone and this jawline is a little bit more prominent. So depending on like how lean the character is, or like how old the character is, then this thing can be pretty prominent. So just be careful with this. Like, don't go too much with that, especially for a pretty girl feminine look. Like, don't go too extreme with that part. I feel like the ear's at the wrong place. I don't know. Sure, I guess like in terms of like sculpting things in separate geometries, like I guess to me I'd feel very not confident with the ears, that like until now the ears are always separate from my head sculpt. I guess even the eyeballs, because I know like some people, they are able to sculpt eyeballs properly and eyelashes like with the head sculpt. I feel like it's too difficult for me right now to do that. So you can see this this area here that will eventually connect to the mouth, which brings me to the mouth. What we want to get here is to have this shape. This one. We want to have this shape of the lower lip, the upper lip, something like this. You can kind of see the cheeks a little bit depending on the angle. Wait, is it the cheeks or like this I don't know what this thing is. So let's draw in like a shitty mouth first. Something like this. Wait, is this too high or is this fine? So I'm going to, okay, I guess, I don't remember, like, is this supposed to be halfway between or not? I really feel like her nose is a bit too small. Oh, this is so difficult. again, so I kind of like gone overboard with this area here. So let me fix this up a little bit more with a lower percentage. I'm going to smooth this out a lot more. While I'm smoothing this out with a low percentage, I'm looking at this area here. I don't want to mess it up. See, like when I get closer to it, it starts disappearing. I think the first few times that I did dynamic topology on the first few times that I did dynamic topology on a head sculpt, I kept wondering like why is it that my eyelids and stuff keeps becoming like this when I don't touch it. And then I realized it's because when you're working on like this area here, you see like my brush is not, it's just like not too close to it, but I'll be so focused on smoothing this area out that I wouldn't realize that my lower eyelid just disappeared from my sculpt. So this is before, and then this is after. You can see like I just lost the volume there. So I learned from that mistake. When I smooth out this large section here, I'm looking at this. Just make sure that I'm not affecting that area. And now it's all good. So another shape that I like to think about, it looks quite scary right now. Let me just go through this. From the 3/4 view from the top, I like to think about this shape right here, which is created by the recessed area under the cheekbone. And now for the lips, I like to, this one I feel like is so finicky for me right now, because I don't really know what's like the best way to do this. So the way that I like to do it now is to shape out the like upper and lower lips. This looks so, it looks too much like a duck. And this is where the side view is going to be really helpful, but then I don't have it. So let me grab, where are you? So I want to create this curve, and then this, and then the lower lip, which kind of also kind of like go down this way, and then the jaw. And when you zoom in closer, I'm thinking about the lips as like there's this part that changes in plane, and then there's this part and this recessed on this flat area here. So it's not like like this. It's more like this. Let me draw this better. It's not a flat thing, essentially. It's a 3D object, like a 3D shape, jutting out. And then for the lower lip, it comes out like this. And nearer the center, there's going to be more of a sharp crease, like if this is the front view. And then over here, it starts getting diffused. It starts blending out to the rest of the thing. Wait, the rest of the thing? I mean, the rest of the skin. And then the sharp crease is happening at the center of the lip, and then the jaw kind of like comes out like this. And with Asian versus Western features, there'll be slight differences, but hers is very westernized, so I'm going to do that. So I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to create this shape here. So I need to remember there's this thing over here. Oh my god, everything is so... And then there's like this thing. There's this protrusion at the at this part of the mouth. So it's not just like flat, straight on. There is a curve at this section of the face of the head. So I'm trying to give that... See, I'm starting to affect the nose, so I'm trying not to affect the nose too much. I'm so stupid. So I'm trying to create this volume at this part of the mouth. I'm also putting the crease here to be mindful. Like if you want to do an old person, like the old person, so be very careful about this area here. So there's like this this area that I will just like carve out and smooth out so that it creates this nice shape over here. And then I'm going to start shaping the mouth. Under the lip, I like to push it in. At this part, I push it out. See, starting to form that nice shape, I think. And I'm going to follow this reference here. I'm going to do this. It's quite difficult right now to shape the face without the mouth, so I'm just doing the best that I can. Create the volume of the cheek because right now it's too sunken in. Something like this. Then now I can start focusing on each individual lip. So I can carve this out more with the crease tool. Smooth this out so that it's not some weird like double line thing. From the 3/4 view, I try to add some volume to the lip like this. So this is the lower lip. From the 3/4 view, I'm making sure that this part is not what was it like before? It's not like this. That there's some length to it. Something like this. There's also this part here. I'm calling everything this and that because I don't know what the names are. There's this I guess is this a muscle that comes out from underneath the mouth, and this creates this look when you look from the diagonal top down. This shape right here from the lower lip. And I guess maybe I'll just take a break right now. Well, she looks really off in a zen way. So wait, let me bring up my where is it? Oh my god, Chihuahua is so cute. Okay. Okay, so back to the lips. This is something that I only learned about, did recently. In the past, I used to not have this part. So my lips used to look like this. And I'll be wondering like, why does it look so weird? Because I didn't have this part here. I don't know what this thing is, but I'm sure like if you have a hit reference model that you'll see this part sticking out. And I like to shape it a little bit like this. And always remember, like, this is a 3D viewport, so make sure that every single angle it looks about right. Something like this from the side view, from the 3/4 view, from the front view. Then at this point, I like to do the upper lip a little bit better. So I want to shape the lower lip and the upper lip such that there's a nice curve to this. And this one's a little bit not that nice. And then when I go to the front view, I want to kind of like extend, like push this up a little bit more. It's a lot easier with like more polygons right now. It's too low resolution. And I can see that the shape here is a little bit like this. Wait, give me a sec. And then when I bring this, how to say, when I go to the diagonal view, the upper lip will do something like this. It will curve outwards. Something like that. So I'm mindful of this this section here, and I'm also keeping the resolution a bit low right now, because normally when I do it too high, then I will make the mistakes of introducing too many planes. Like imagine if I'm drawing the wireframe, I'll introduce too many plane changes over here when I only want this to be nice and smooth. So this is another tricky area for me. This triangle section. I guess like this section here, this one here, especially near the nose, and then now this one. I think it's like they're all quite tricky to me, honestly. So I do something like this, and I'm gonna move this out. I think at this point it's not like every single angle doesn't make it that prominent. The lips is like a difficult portion, which I take some time to get it right. So at this point, when I do the crease of the mouth, this is something that I also started doing recently. If I just draw the crease like this, and then I start detailing, it's very easy for me to lose the details here. Even if I go with like even when I go like high resolution, you can see like this area here. You can see this area here. Like this this area over here starts smoothing out. So what I like to do now is to, actually maybe I need to adjust the shapes a bit. So even if I'm working on the side, I'm mindful of like, am I pushing my drag tool from here or from here or from here? It makes a difference. So like this. So back to the upper lip. I like to now I like to use the cell mask tool, and I'm going to draw this line. So I'm going to mask this area out. Wait, this area out? Actually, now that I think about it, you know what, maybe I can just use the mask tool. I can draw this line. Maybe this is like more straightforward. Draw this line. I'm going to invert the mask, and then I just push this in. So I'm creating something similar to the eye socket, but like having that cavity inside makes it a lot easier for me to manipulate these fine details on the outside. So with the mouth, the same thing. I'm just pushing them in so that when I smooth these out, you can see that the crease of the mouth will stay really sharp, no matter like how much, I mean, to a certain extent, like it will stay sharp. And if you're doing 3D modeling, then this will, can I, wait, oh, I guess it doesn't work this way. If you're doing 3D modeling for like game assets and stuff, what's that thing called? Like 3D animation, then you want to model the teeth inside. And you also want to model, this is just something that I learned from 3D animation. You want to model this cavity, and it will just like end over here, because if your character opens its mouth, then you want to see the teeth and you want to see the back of the mouth, but you don't want to see like a non-existent tube. So you're going to extend the mouth like this. So this is if you're doing 3D modeling and you can kind of like access like the wireframe and stuff and get this done properly. I'm kind of doing something very similar, but then it's like just a very primitive method of like I can't really control what I'm doing inside. I'm just cutting as much as I can inwards, and then using the inflate brush, I can inflate the lips a lot more easily this way. And then from the side view. So this is my kind of like my go-to way to sculpt the lips at this point of time. So everything kind of still looks very weird. The lower lip should be more like a straight line, and then it goes upwards. I don't want to see this cavity, so I'm going to use the inflate tool to close the gap between the upper and the lower lip. And you can see like she has this, is this called the Cupid's bow? I forgot. I like to draw the lip shape a little bit, just so that's easier for me to see what is going on. Because with this line now, when I look at the side view, it looks horrendous. So I can do this. So in terms of the 3/4 view, I tried to explain this in a concise way. So in the front view, the lips will look like this. That's this point, or at least her specific mouth shape. It will look like this. And when you think about it in the side view or the 3/4 view, you will have to break this area up here. So from the 3/4 view, it will look something like this. So that would be this shape going on in the 3/4 view. And I like to think on lips. I like to break it down into this simple idea for lips. So 3/4 view is looking a bit, it's looking so off. Part of it is that I don't have the edges of the lips, so I'm going to use a crease tool to shape that out. The midpoint of the lip. So you can see this the thing that I just drew, like how I think about the lips in the different angles. This an exaggeration, but then it's yeah. And then I'll just smooth this out. It's really about like trying to draw the more extreme look of it and then smoothing out until it's nice and balanced. Like that's, I guess that's the way that I usually work. So smooth this out. For the lower lip, it's really all about creating this curve all the way. Like if this is the lip, it's like all plumb all the way around. So I can use the inflate tool to and then just like move things about. Maybe lower down the percentage because it's a little bit difficult to control this area here. Something like this, I think there's something weird going on here. So I need to correct this. So the small line. So over here, I guess that's this. Actually, I'm not really sure. Maybe I'm making a mistake with this area here. And I'm just smoothing out any weird shadows that shouldn't exist because of a weird plane change that shouldn't exist. And then from here, the nose. I'll use a brush tool to shape this, wherever this thing is. And just move that out too. Then I can use the drag tool to adjust it to whatever shape I want. And then again the crease tool to sharpen this, to sharpen the edge of the lip. And now that this thing exists, I can look at the now that this thing exists, I can look at the 3/4 view and spot any weird angles happening. It should just be like a nice curve over here. I think I'm getting something wrong. Wait. So I'm missing the volume in the center part, the mid portion. So something like this would be a lot better. And then probably made this too small again. When it comes to moving the lips and like adjusting the different like the proportions when the nose and the lips are done, you can also like mask this area out and use this to help you move things in like a bigger brush size like that. Actually, you can use the mask tool for like almost everything. I just haven't done that. So smooth this. Maybe I'll like mask this area out because I don't want this to be smoothed out, and then I'll fix this area here. So clear that and make sure that you can also use the brush tool for things like this. I'm just very used to using the crease tool and smooth out any areas where it's just not smooth. And at this point, what else can I do to make it look a little bit better? It's probably the cheeks. and the eyes. So now that I'm feeling more warmed up, I can... What's this happening? Can probably... should I move the eyes down a bit? I'm not sure. See, sometimes I feel like I'm making a mistake in terms of like the eye shape, especially. But then it's like I can't really spot the mistake right now, even though it's right in front of me. And then this usually happens when I start manipulating the eyelids. Like I start introducing this if I'm not careful. So it's always about trying to catch all these irregularities and smoothing, like fixing them up before they get really bad. And then I do this. Let's create this. And then yeah, her eyes are pretty hooded. I think that's what it's called, like this downward shape. Actually, I'm not really sure whether it's too backwards or something. Like I can't tell whether or not it's too. It's the eyes too like high up. Then around this point, I like to introduce some skin color. So you can see with this one, because I like to work with vertex painting, so I can just quickly, like, instead of working on something like this, I can introduce some skin color to just make it look more alive. So I'm going to find an accurate skin color, I think. Since our outfit is a lot in the what's that thing, in the purples, I'm just going to choose like a reddish tone and use this to paint her skin in. Although I'm not really sure whether or not this is the accurate color. Maybe a little bit. So I like to give like a medium roughness and then go in to paint in some specular highlights, usually like around this area here, the tip of the nose bridge, the lip, and just giving this variation in roughness. The cheek area here goes a long way. Like it just looks a lot better really quickly. I'm just going to make her lips a little bit red, maybe small too. Can also paint in some shadows. So I use like a darker tone to get it inside if I can. And then I don't know why the smudge tool has dynamic topology, but I always switch it off because I don't use the smudge tool with dynamic topology. And then I'll just smooth out everything. I can also darken the eyes. Something like this. It's probably a bit bigger. You know, maybe I just painted a little bit. Now I'll switch off the symmetry for a bit so that I can paint in the shadows at the top of the eye. There's something important that I learned from painting, which is when you're painting shadows for a black versus a white object. Wait, why is this not smudging? Oh, I see. I don't know why I was in mask tool. When you're painting in shadows on a white versus a black object, that the shadows on the black object will be darker than on the white object. So just be careful of like you don't want a pure black shadow. You don't want a pure black shadow on this white eyeball like that. It's going to be relatively gray compared to the shadow on her eyes, for example, her iris. So something like this. And this part's not that shiny, so I'm going to make it a little bit less shiny. Something like this. Then with this, like, things are a little bit more obvious now. Like, this is a little bit too sharp. I'm not really sure how much more I can. I guess I'm running out of time. But I'll do my best. And I like to add like eyelashes and eyebrows. For eyebrows, I like to draw it on the face with the crease. And usually I would make sure that this eyebrow area is working out fine. But then because I don't really have her other angles, so it's a little bit difficult to see what this is supposed to be like. So always got like a good set of reference. We're going to draw the crease here. So just like a in and out. I'm going to increase the details. Just like in and out. And then smooth it a little bit. That's the way that I like to do eyebrows at the moment. But I'm starting to feel quite tired from all this mental gymnastics. So it's starting to look a bit like it might not be what I want exactly. So something like this. This part is a lot deeper. It's gonna look quite strange without the, I mean, the eyelids a little bit off. I see. Okay, so now I'm starting to see like what's wrong with this. Like this should be, yeah, I made a mistake. So this should be quite a lot lower, because this part should be continuous curve. So I'm going to fix this up now. Sometimes things like this, like I can only see it afterwards, after things are a lot more fleshed out. I should have spotted this way earlier. So now there's a nice curve to this. So this from here there's a curve, and then that's where the eyelid starts. It's probably, actually, now that I think about it, maybe her face. Okay, let's look at this. So you can see that her eyelids, at least her nose, is quite round from this angle, and it goes in quite a bit. And then this part goes out like this. Yeah, probably her eyes are more forward than I've sculpted. So I'm gonna push this out a little bit more. Like this. And then now move the eyeballs. At this point, I'm trying to correct her overall proportions, just based on this image alone. So her cheeks are not so sharp. It's quite soft. So I'm adjusting this area here. And then now I'm going to adjust the front angle again. I think now that everything looks a little bit better. So I'm just going back and forth, fixing the front, fixing the diagonal, just based on what kind of references I have, until eventually I will get the correct proportions, hopefully. And then this part here, there's this really subtle area of the face where it's quite flat out. So I'm going to use the brush tool and just sculpt out this area here. And it kind of like blend out a little bit from here. Something that I got conscious of because of makeup tutorials, and like this is quite an important area for makeup. And fixing the front view. And just carving out this area here a little bit. Something like that. The main points of the eyelids is the making sure that the corners are sharp. Something like this. Actually, normally around this point, like it kind of looks weird without eyelashes and stuff, but then I guess it's not too bad. So I'm going to use the inflate brush to quickly like add this volume here. Something like this. And then look at the 3/4 view again. This part shorting out too much. And I'm going to smooth all these things out and then paint in. Let me paint in. Is it white? Is it a pure white? Normally all these things will help me make sure that I'm not getting some of the proportions wrong. Probably not giving yeah. Then at this point it's like the a bit hard to see the shadows. Ah yeah, okay. Let me stay in this view or I can also just switch this off. So the whole time, and also like I'm a bit, my mind's getting a bit blasted by just like too much in like, yeah, as the stream goes on, usually my brain becomes really tired and then I start to not want to explain what I'm doing. But essentially what I was correcting was this section here, because previously what I did was I didn't look at it closely enough. I was doing something like this. Where it curves inward. I'm just going to, that looks like an outward curve. Okay, let me change the angle. Initially my eyelids was like this, where like it's a double eyelid and then curves inwards and then curves outwards, whereas I just realized that there's supposed to be this volume over here. I'm just really being very careful here that there's this volume here, this area here, until it meets the eyelids. So I probably should put some more volume here too and smooth this out. So add some volume, smooth it out. Add some volume, smooth it out. Make sure that when I'm looking at the different angles that it's not doing like she's losing some part of the skull kind of thing. So make sure that she has her skull intact. And then I'm going to go up in detail to carve out this with the crease tool. So make sure that areas like this, that is straight like that. Right now it's doing this. It's bending in at this crease. So I'm going to bring this out. Or use the inflate brush and inflate this a little bit more. And now there's a nice smooth curve going on in this eye. Something like this. I think there's still like room for improvement, but then like I think I'll need to go soon. But overall I'm really happy with the progress. I wasn't sure how much I could cram into this live stream. But yeah, progress is quite decent. Then yeah, progress is really good actually. Yeah, just like looking at the different angles, making sure that it's not too angular, because like sometimes just a little bit of angles will make a person look a lot older. I feel like my one is looking a lot older than the reference, so I need to try and correct that. Yeah, this part is quite sharp. I guess the upper lip is quite a lot smaller than the lower lip. And I should add the eyelashes because it's looking a bit. Something else that I like to do now is that you see the inner corner of the eye. I like to clone the eyeball, make it a lot smaller. Just make sure that it's like a nice roundish shape like this, and then I just painted like a skin tone. I don't know what color yet. Something like this, just for that inner eye corner thing, whatever this thing is. And that will help fill out this section here. Something like this. You make it a little bit less prominent. And then I'm going to add the eyelash. And for the eyelash, it's like I feel like it's not really, I don't really recommend this. But I guess I feel like I want to have more practice in this first right now. So I'll use the tube. I guess you can kind of use the tube tool too, and like a curve repeater to make dozens of eyelashes, but for me right now it's just like this. I'll validate this and then I'll push it in a little bit more, and then I'll just like use a dynamic topology with quite a high percentage detail, and I will start like pulling out individual lashes like this. Let me rotate this a little bit. Why is it not moving like what I intended? I probably wouldn't recommend. Wait, her eyelashes are actually pointing down. Oops. Is it always pointing down? I guess so. I probably wouldn't recommend doing this, but then for me it's quite fun. And I feel like what you find fun like is what matters the most. I get annoyed by the drag tool sometimes when I do this, but then overall I find that doing something like this is quite fun. Why are you not doing? I'm getting so annoyed. Yeah, I don't recommend this. just find a way that's fun for you, I guess. I think the tube, like using tubes, oh my god, using tubes tool, and let me hide her a bit. Using tubes tool and curve repeater should be a good way to create lots of eyelashes, and then just randomize it a bit, I guess. I think it should work, maybe. I mean, this is kind of like good enough for me right now. And make sure that it's curving correctly at the different angles. Maybe I'll just do this, like redo this another time if I don't like this. But I find like this is a good practice to just like get used to using drag tool with like lots of things getting in the way, I feel. But yeah, highly not recommend doing this. Then I will mirror this too. Make sure to rename everything. I'm just going to not bother renaming right now because I need to hurry up with this. So now at this point everything is already done, and then yeah, it's all about trying to change this to make it look more like the reference, because I feel like something is off that is making her look very different. So I'm going to use her hair. Okay, let me hide this. Let me get this. Probably her jawline is very big right now. Oh, I can also trim this away because I don't need this. I'm just gonna leave it like that for now. I guess maybe this would be a more accurate color for her. So maybe I'll paint in like keeping some of that color variation. Oh wait, I just removed the, oh wait, her eyelid. Oh right. So something else I also learned from makeup is the eyebrows should be a lot more like muted, I guess. So you don't want to have like a super black eyebrow even if you have black hair. Like you want it to be nice and soft, something like this. And then I'm going to figure out which one is making her look like the most different. Probably the, why is this so, let me get some detail on this first. This part is also a little bit not smooth, so let me fix this. You can see like the light is hitting. I'm not sure they can see, but now there's like this area here. You see the lights hitting like that? It means that the geometry is not smooth. It's probably doing something like this. Like I'm just drawing out like some rough shape when it should just be like this. So I'm going to, this is why I like to check with the lip pre-brow mode, because all these like plane changes really stands out with a light shining on it. So I'm just going to smooth this out a little bit. It might be the paint, I think. but I'm just going to smooth this out a bit, make sure that this one goes inward like this. Oh my god, I can't wait to go bouldering. Like, my brain is like going a bit nuts right now. I can't believe that I survived this whole stream. Okay, then let's make this a little bit better now. Doing art is like a big commitment sometimes. I'm going to make this a little bit less what's this thing called? Shiny. I don't know why that part was so shiny. I mean, the main thing is that she looks pretty, so it's like mission accomplished, but yeah, something is very off. Like, she has this younger look that I'm not getting. So I think it's probably this one stands out the most as the most different to me. Maybe this part here. This part is too I can use the flatten tool too. Actually, I didn't think about it. Like, I guess sometimes you can use the flatten tool to flatten areas out. Why didn't I think about that? But I'm just not used to it. So maybe it's messing up my stuff a lot more than it should. And make sure that this part goes inward a bit. But then I don't want it to be too obvious. And then this part, I guess, goes inward a little bit more. I guess her mouth is wider. But then this part is not too obvious. I need to flatten this part out. I mean, I don't really have to be like 100% accurate to this. Probably the eyebrows can go a little bit lower, I think. I forgot about the lower lashes, but let me just try and duplicate this, reverse this, make it smaller, widen it a bit, bring it down, and I'm just going to, I don't know, hex some lower lashes. Just to quickly get some lower lashes. like super kind of like just a block in right now. It doesn't have to look that good because I just wanted that to see if it's working out. I'll say like this is one of the time-consuming parts. Well, like I'm trying to figure out like what I'm doing that makes her look different from the reference. I don't know how she's like doing this thing but then not looking angry, but then my one's like looking angry. Maybe I'm not doing the eye shape right. But I think that's about it because I need to go now. I think that's about it. Like the sides are a little bit off now. I forgot to check this part. For this one, it's probably better to like look up on how the 3/4 view of the head is supposed to be like, because I don't think I can explain this well. I'm just shifting things based on what I feels look right to me. Like my guess is that the side view is a bit off because I don't have a good reference of the side view. Like maybe the angle is a bit off from the actual one. But I think overall it's pretty good. Like it's quite close to this, I hope. I hope. But I really have to go now, even though this is quite fun. And I guess I need a break from this. Because like sometimes the longer that you work on something, the more you can see like the little mistakes that may be very obvious. And if you just take a small break and come back to it. But before I go, I guess every single thing here is like a learning point, so I don't really need to have a specific learning point for this stream. But as a bonus, I like to draw the ridge lines on the lips, and I'll switch off the dynamic I'll switch off symmetry for this, and then I'll just go in with like alternate like crease brush. Maybe a higher percentage would be better, and then just like roughly smooth that out. So the same thing with the top of the mouth. Just very randomly place some lines and smooth it out randomly too. And then that will help to create yeah, it's a little bit dark. It'll help to create these lines over here. And that's about it for today. Thank you for tuning into the stream. I hope that the stream was helpful. I hope that you guys have a good holiday. I will enjoy the weekend to the fullest. Why am I not seeing? But yeah, I hope that remember to activate symmetry again. Oh, and also like one final bonus tip is that once your sculpt is relatively like in a good place, then that's when you want to introduce asymmetry. Why are you not? You want to introduce asymmetry. I feel like the bridge is a bit wrong, but no mind. Asymmetry, so switch off symmetry and then like kind of just like move like features a little bit off, and that will help to create a natural look, because like I guess in maybe 99.9% of people, like the left and the right side are not symmetrical, and sometimes like when you see a very symmetrical face, then it's it looks very off. That's something that I learned from drawing too, and I'm going to undo that because I'm not 100% wait, what did I kind of like got lost with what changes I made. Okay, because I want to fix her up a little bit more, but yeah. And Ralph C. Jones, like, yeah, very welcome. I'm glad that I could get this stream out too, because yeah, it's something that I enjoyed a lot more once I got the hang of sculpting faces. So yeah, just like being able to sculpt a head from scratch and get more practice in it made me enjoy doing this a lot more. So it's like, it is one of the things that I've always wanted to stream, and I'm glad that I can do like a good stream for this. So hope you guys have a good weekend, and I'll see you guys in the next one. And also thank you so much for tuning in, and also thank you so much for all the subscribers. Thank you so much. And